welcome back. Just like I said on the last video, I was going to explain what a general price list is and how important it is and how it protects the funeral director and funeral home as well as you and your family. So without further ado, a general price list, by the way, in the funeral business, we have lingo. Usually we don't use it out in public, but we call them GPLs, which is general price list. Okay. Now on every general price list, we have to have this statement on there. Prior to drafting any contract for goods and services, the responsible party for the decedent survivor who is handling the funeral arrangements is entitled to receive a copy of any pre-need arrangement in the possession of the funeral establishment that has been signed or paid for in full or part on behalf of the decedent by themselves or by another family member. So we have to provide you the pre-arrangement that maybe your mother came in and she didn't want you to worry, therefore she prepaid her funeral expenses. Okay. Sometimes people don't know that, so they don't ask the funeral director. You know, my mother was always talking about prepaying her funeral expenses. Can you please check your files and see if you have anything on record for her? A lot of times you don't even know to ask that question because this may be your first time you've ever made funeral arrangements. You don't know to ask that question. And so that protects you and it protects us as well. Because if mom did make prearranged funerals and she paid for it, we have to abide by that date and time that arrangement was made. So I can't add on today's prices. I have to go by the prices that was written when she arranged to have it paid for. We cannot add additional means to it. We can add like, what do you want to say? Extra services. Okay, well, you can pay for that at today's price. But the one thing that a lot of people have concerns about is, well, why'd she pick that casket? We don't want that casket. We can't change that casket. That's the casket she chose. So I don't know about any other funeral directors, but I know from my point of view, if she prearranged that funeral and she paid for it and she chose it, that's the one we are going to get for her because that's what she chose. Now, with that being said, if that casket is no longer available or it's discontinued, I have to get like for like, which means I have to find a casket that is just like or similar to and cost-wise to what she wanted. I cannot tell you as her son saying, well, you know what, that one's discontinued. Which one do you want to buy? And you can pay full price for that. We can't do that. That's not what the funeral arrangement, pre-arrangement was made for. Okay? When we print out our general price list, we have to put this disclaimer on it here in California. On the general price list, at the very, very top, it says, for more information on funeral matters, please contact Department of Consumer Affairs, Cemetery and Funeral Bureau, 1625 North Market Boulevard, Suite 208, Sacramento, California, 95834. Telephone number, and it has a telephone number. The reason why we have to disclose that is because in case you're sitting across from me making a funeral arrangement and you're not quite sure if I'm really being truthful with you, or you have a complaint with a funeral director, never with me, but if you have a funeral complaint against your funeral director, that's who you call. And it's on your price list. So you don't have to call around and figure out who you can make a complaint to or a concern to. It's right there on your general price list. And that's why the Cemetery and Funeral Bureau wants that on your general price list. And again, all it's doing is protecting you, and it's protecting me as a funeral home and as a funeral director. Okay, so now we'll go into the basic services of director and staff. Everybody wants to know how a funeral home gets paid. All right, I have lots of overhead. I have employees. So this basic fee of our basic services will be added to the total cost of your funeral arrangements that you select. This fee is already included in any packages like direct cremation, forwarding, receiving remains. It includes personnel available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to respond to initial call. Arrangement conference, coordinating plans with the cemetery, crematory, and any other parties involved in the final disposition of the deceased. Clerical assistance in completion of various forms and permits associated with the funeral. Also covers overhead, including facility maintenance, equipment, inventory costs, insurance, administration expenses, and any other regulatory compliance, as well as embalming fluid, instruments, anything that's necessary that is our overhead. It is included in our basic services and our director and staff, okay? The embalming fluid, it gets carried, it's a main, because we have Stericycle, which we have to get rid of biohazard waste. So all those things are considered as overhead because we have to have it. We can't provide services without them. And then and then on the general price list, every funeral home has a different price for that, basic services of director and staff. Some funeral homes will have $1,695 for your basic services of director and staff. Again, that is a non-declinable fee. We cannot remove it. We cannot deduct from it. It is what it is, and that is the same for every single funeral home here in California. So it could be $16.95, it could be $18.95, it could be $21.95. It's just whatever the funeral home puts on their price list. It's what they're asking for. But it doesn't matter that theirs is higher or lower. It still has to be on the price list. Okay? So other preparation of the body, except in special circumstances, embalming is not required by law. No, it's not. It is not required by law. But for temporary preservation of human remains for a funeral, if you're going to have them out for all night for a rosary visitation, and then the next day visitation, and then a chapel service, or maybe a church service, then you would want to have embalming. Okay? If you don't want to have embalming due to religious reasons, well then you don't have to. We just close a casket, and then we cut the time frame down that the body is out of refrigeration. So what is required is embalming or refrigeration. Okay? So embalming, that'll be listed on your price list. Dressing, casketing, cosmetizing, that will have a price on your price list. Bathing, disinfecting, and handling of embalmed or unembalmed remains, that will have a price on your price list. Refrigeration, like I said, it's up to 3 days. Any day after that, the funeral home can charge $65 a day, charge $90 a day. It's whatever the funeral home deems necessary. So like I said, every funeral home has their own price. Embalming could be $595, it could be $495, it could be $795. It just depends on what that funeral home puts on their on their general price list. Just the same as other preparation of the body, they can do $200 or they can do $300. Usually sometimes it's $325. It just depends on your funeral home. So when you go into one funeral home and you wonder why their prices are a little bit more than maybe say my funeral home, it's because their fees are a little bit higher than mine. I'm more of a mom and pop because it was just me that owned it, whereas a corporation will charge a lot more because, again, why? Their overhead is a lot more. Their employee pool is a lot more. Sometimes the amount of funerals they do, a lot more. So it balances out, but then a lot of people just want to know why, and that's why. We have other merchandise. We have basic memorial folders, custom folders, memorial guest register book, memorial video prayer card, crucifix, combination air tray. That's to transfer and transporting deceased without a casket via the airlines. An air tray for transporting deceased with a casket via the airlines. Usually they're in cargo and they're either loaded before or after everybody is boarded. So that way it's not being seen. And you may never know if you have human remains on board on your flight because it's not made aware of. Cash advance items. Cash advance items are items that the funeral home has to put on the, well, if I'm looking at my contract, it's on my right side of the contract, because those are fees that aren't mine. Those are cash advance fees, like death certificates, permit, disposition permit, state cremation tax, the coroner's fee. The coroner's fee is coroner's fee. It has to be paid to the coroner when we go to the coroner to pick up your loved one. We literally have to take a signed release. We have to take a check to the coroner for the removal of your loved one to bring into our care. So that's non-negotiable. The coroner doesn't let you pick up unless you have that signed release and that check. Scattering of cremated remains at sea. Well, there's a lot of places that you can go to. If you want us to do it, fine, but it would be on our time. And we normally would charge $500. That would be for the trip to the ocean and to somebody that we have made a relationship with to take out the boat and do the scattering of cremated remains. 8 times out of 10, most everybody takes their own cremated remains and does the scattering themselves. I know that in certain places you can hire companies, shipping companies that have just a small boat just for family, and they'll do a little memorial service on that, and they'll charge you accordingly. But that's up to you, and a lot of times families, they do that all on their own because they want to make sure that when they do the scattering, they have their immediate family with them at the time, and it's private, and it's endearing, and it's special. So, a lot of times, like I said, 8 times out of 10, usually the family just takes care of that because it's easier for them, and, they get to be a part of it. They get to make their own plans, and by the time they get done with me, if they have any questions on how to do that, I direct them, I send them off, but I don't refer individuals because I'm not going to be held responsible in case that company makes a mistake. Because then they can come back, the family can come back and sue me and say, well, you're the one that referred us to them, so you're part of the lawsuit. No, I'm not. Here's a list, a little mini telephone book for you. Okay? Because I don't want to refer and then somebody else not follow through what they're supposed to do or how they're supposed to do it. We talked about the use of facilities and staff. Facilities and staff for visitation and or chapel service per 3-hour period. Our service includes setting up of the visitation area, placement of the encased remains, display of floral arrangements, supervision and attendance during visitation, and in our main prayer room. The staff for the graveside, the facilities for a memorial service, whether we actually have a body present or we don't have a body present, meaning cremated remains, not cremated remains, an encased body in a casket, maybe not. A lot of times people want to do burial just immediate family before they go to the church and have their service. So it all just depends on what the family wants. And that's what our job is. Our job is to do what you want. I mean, it's simple as that. It's not that hard. And I always tell everybody, if you want to know what true customer service is, true customer service, work in a funeral home. That's all I can say. Work in a funeral home, because that's all you're doing is providing customer service. Customer service 24/7. I mean, I have to pretend that I'm awake at 3:30 in the morning when they call to talk to me. Customer service. I want them to like me before they call the next person who doesn't even want to answer the phone. Or the answering service who treats them like, please just put them on hold. We never put anybody on hold. I just say, one moment, let me get a pen and paper. I don't put them on hold. I keep the phone right there with me. They hear me moving around. They expect me to be moving around. Oh, I love this one. This one's kind of becoming very popular. Our direct cremation. Everybody's like, I just want to be cremated. That's it. I'm done. Just cremate me. Okay. Well, direct cremation is $1,895. Okay. Now, here's something that you need to understand when you're calling in to a funeral home to get a price list. This fee includes basic services of director and staff, transfer of the remains to the funeral home, filing of the death certificate, refrigeration, crematory fees, alternative container, and a plastic temporary urn. Okay? So that includes exactly what it said, but it doesn't include if the individual is 250 pounds over the weight limit. I think it's 251 to 300 pounds, and then 300 to 350 over their weight. Then the rush cremations, a lot of times people are like, well, I want my mom cremated right now, right away, and I want her back in 2 days. I can't, Okay, well, now we got to call the crematory, and we have to ask the crematory, can you schedule her on tomorrow morning? And yes, tell us what the fee will be. So again, that is the crematory's charge. Sometimes the crematories are on location at a local cemetery, and sometimes crematories are all by themselves. So it just depends. And then a lot of individuals will say, I want a quiet hour before you cremate my mother. Well, then a quiet hour is bathing and disinfecting and handling unembalmed remains, dressing and setting features of unembalmed remains, and only use of the slumber room for up to 1 hour for immediate family only. So they will have a price again on their price list based upon the funeral home of your choice. I just would like you guys to please subscribe. If you want to, you can. If you have questions, I came up with my email, so I'm not going to be offended if anybody wants to type me an email or ask a question. It's Mortician Killen, KILLEN @gmail.com. So that's just the easiest way for me. Like I said, I'm just an old lady trying to make it in life, and everything that you guys do as far as subscribing helps me supplement my retirement. So I hope you all have a really good day, and just know funerals are not depressing, and funeral arrangements are depressing when you're doing them. But if you go in with knowledge, it sure makes a difference. So bye for now, and bye, y'all. Thank you.